Hey guys, I want to welcome you to Liftoff.
14, 12, 11, 10.
Liftoff is something we've never done before. We're bringing in lawyers, sourcing agents, just-in-time students, maybe even you. Some of you, I would love for you to be here to create an experience like nothing we've ever done before. The idea is instead of just doing a lot of training, which is good, we also want more motivation, inspiration, and learning from other people's experiences. If we can combine all these different experts and bring them together and your story as well, put it into one room and you can sit in on that and watch that and experience that, I believe this could be life-changing. That's why we're calling it Liftoff, like a rocket. Before it lifts off, there's all this preparation you need to do. Well, guys, imagine that every moment in your life was meant to prepare you for this moment. And that is why I hope Thursdays at noon, it makes a huge difference in your life. Let's lift off, let's do this together. Today's episode, you're gonna meet a lawyer, not just any lawyer. This guy, well, he is from New York, but this guy understands Amazon law like nobody's business. And we're gonna talk about what do you do when you have hijackers, your favorite thing, on your listing? How do you handle that? Some of this information, never released this before, ever. CJ Rosenbaum, the lawyer, here we go.
Hey everybody, this is Seth Keeping It Real. Today I'm super excited because my friend CJ Rosenbaum is here with us, who just got back from China, is that right?
Yeah, I did a real hit it hard, hit it fast trip to China, New York, Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Shanghai, home in about 3.5 days.
So guys, we're going to talk about hijackers, but before we do that, and for those of you guys who have an Amazon listing and you have hijackers on it, you're going to love this episode, and stay till the end because we have a little bonus for you. But before we do that, just really quick, I want you to get to know CJ. Not only is CJ a badass lawyer in New York, but he also does some crazy stuff. You want to talk about your new hobby with scuba diving?
Yeah. I just started scuba diving about a year ago when I did a trip to Australia. I couldn't imagine going to Australia and not going to the Great Barrier Reef. So I learned how to do it, and now I'm like a certified scuba guy. I forget what they call it. And today, since I'm in Orlando, I'm actually going scuba diving in Epcot's giant fish tank with their sharks.
You are a crazy man. You have my respect.
I'm kind of hoping that with everything with Disney, they kind of have them drugged a little bit.
Right. Otherwise, you would be the show, right?
Exactly. Right. This could be my last show. We'll see.
Hey, it's nothing like going out with a bang, man. Right? Hey, guys, really quick before we jump in, I just want you guys to know something. So if you go to AmazonSellersLawyer.com, AmazonSellersLawyer.com, you're going to find a ton of free, but not free in its value, extremely high value content. I go there from time to time. I read the blog, just some really good tips. And everybody, raise your hand if you're an Amazon seller, those of you guys out there. So for those of you guys selling on Amazon, you've got to listen to this very carefully because we're going to talk about one of your favorite things, and that is hijackers. I think we could write like 14 books just on the topic itself, CJ.
Yeah, hijackers are a major problem, but if you have that problem, it's because you're doing successful, because you're a good seller, you're picking great products, your private label starting to blow up. So while hijackers are bad, it also indicates that you're being successful and you're doing well.
Right. Guys, I love this perspective because this is so true. If you just started on Amazon and you're discouraged, listen to what CJ just said. That's a sign you're doing something right. You're getting resistance, you're getting competition, people are noticing you. And trust me, the more successful you are, the more resistance you'll get, but it's kind of satisfying because it validates that you are kicking butt. So keep going, you guys. Okay, so we're going to jump in really granular now. So CJ, what would you say is the number one problem that Amazon sellers are running into when it comes to hijackers? Let me just give you an example. So I got this listing, it's selling really well, and then boom, one day I notice I lost the buy box, there's a hijacker, they have a lower price than mine. What do I do? What is your first suggestion in that situation?
Well, the first question we ask, the number one question we ask is, did you file for a trademark? Did you get that application in? And if you did, has it been approved yet? Right. If you have a mark, it makes it really easy to get rid of the hijackers, to assert your intellectual property rights. That's the number one question. And if you haven't filed for your mark yet, go to uspto.gov, uspto.gov, and do it yourself. It's a piece of cake. And I'm happy to help warriors all over the world. Do it if you need help, but it's so easy to file for your mark.
Yeah.
If you don't have a mark, if it's not been approved yet, then the next thing we do is we identify things that hijacker cannot deliver to the consumer that you are able to deliver or that you do deliver.
Right. Amazon intellectual property, a lot of people pull up this article and it's confusing, and I would just love to get your perspective on it. So they talk about trademarks, but when I get down to number 4, so the question is, do I always need the rights owner's permission to use a trademark in the creation of a detail page? Now, this is what Amazon says. Just because you are not the owner of a trademark does not necessarily mean that you cannot sell another company's product. So I'm thinking, okay, so if I reverse this around, apparently Bobby McGee can sell on my listing even though I have it trademarked. I even might have brand registered and still he's selling on my listing. And Amazon continues in this super clear language. Usually the unauthorized use of a trademark in the creation of a detail page is infringing only if it is likely to cause confusion as to the source, endorsement, or affiliation of the goods. And then they use an example, and they have this screenshot here from Pins on Sheets. If you are selling a genuine Pins on Sheet set, and you are advertising the product as a Pins on Sheet set, you might not be causing confusion as to the source or affiliation of the goods, that is Pins On, and if not, are not infringing on the Pins On trademark. My question, and this is why this is a little frustrating to me, if I own Pins On, if I'm registered on USPTO.gov, even if it's not brand registered, let's just say it is, and they're selling on my listing, is that legal? Or is this more of a thing where Amazon's like, I don't want to deal with it, you guys fight amongst each other because I'm going to keep myself from a lawsuit? What are your thoughts on this?
All right, it's actually both. Amazon is remarkable at avoiding responsibility for anything, okay? Right. So confusion is the whole basis of intellectual property law. Are consumers going to be confused as to the product? So if you scroll back to that listing, anybody can sell a branded product, okay? We have what's called the first sale doctrine.
Right.
So the words Pins On flannel sheet set are fine. You are selling a Pins On flannel sheet set. Using their logo on top of that is most likely a violation because it seems to be that you are Pins On selling Pins On sheets, not a third party selling Pins On sheets. You got to walk kind of a fine line, and it's not always clear what is and what is not a violation.
Right.
You really want to be careful. You want to err on the side of caution because you don't want to be suspended. You don't want to receive an intellectual property right complaint. So I think that listing would be fine if you didn't have Pins On right above the verbiage. The verbiage itself is good, and you also have to avoid using Pins On's photographs. Okay, you got to take your own pictures of the product.
Right. Now here, this is an awesome conversation, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here, and you're a lawyer, so I'm sure you love it anyways. So here's my question. So my wife and I do a lot of arbitrage. We do a ton of private label. Let's just say one of the listings, we find a Pins On sheet at Walmart, for example. It's at a huge discount, like 40% discount. We buy 50, we send them into Amazon's fulfillment center, and we list it on a listing like this. It's already listed. So technically, we don't own the trademark, but we are hijacking or piggybacking, which is a nice, it's funny how people like to use the word piggybacking. We talk about arbitrage, hijacking, we talk about private label. I love it, but it's the same thing. But we're piggybacking on a listing that's already there. And if that company, Pins On, has not done some kind of enforcement or gotten their brand gated, then we're able to freely sell unless Amazon requires us to apply for approval. So that part I get. And I think a lot of our followers do. But the question is, why can't hijackers do that to someone who developed their own private label? Where do we draw that line? How's that different than I developed my own phone case? This is my own brand. Let's just call it Canepian, okay? Or Canepian Real. This is my brand. And someone else somehow found this product and they're reselling it. Is the issue, CJ, that if they bought it and resold it, that's under the law that you said, the resale law? But if they're manufacturing the same product with my trademark, that's where it's against the law? Like, where do you draw the line between hijacking and piggybacking arbitrage? I think there's so much cloud around this issue, and Amazon's article here is not helping.
If somebody else built the listing and they violated Pins On's trademark, you did not. But the courts in the United States are split. In some venues, it is a violation to jump on that list, to piggyback on that listing. Okay. In other states, it is. In some states, it's not. So I wouldn't be afraid if you picked up 50 of these sheet sets and you want to sell them, and the listing's already there, jump right on it, because if you get called to the carpet, it's a really easy one to win. So I would go ahead and do it. I wouldn't create the listing this way, but this listing, the fact that it exists, okay, this listing is a violation, yet it was up. So Amazon is a bit erratic. So whoever created this listing should not have used the logo unless they are pins on, but there it is, and it's probably selling very, very well.
Real quick, CJ,
excuse me.
I got this. So let's say I'm the person. So let's say I create pins on listing, but I don't own the pins on trademark. That's a potential problem, right?
Yes. If you created this listing, okay, that is a potential problem. The listing would be fine if you took off the logo above the description. Then I think the listing is entirely fine. But listings that violate Amazon's own policies exist, you know, thousands or probably millions of them without being called to the carpet. But you never know when you will be called to the carpet. So if this listing already exists, I would jump on it and piggyback. If you were creating a new listing, I wouldn't do it this way.
Got it. Okay, so let's go back now. Let's say I started Pins On. So I am the original owner. I developed these sheets. They have a unique hemming. That's how they're different. And if you go to uspto.gov, it's registered to Seth Kniep or Just One Dime. Now, I launch it. We're doing 75 sales a day. And by month 2, I notice my sales are slowing. So I go over to my listing and I notice it's also being sold by 2 other people.
So now that's hijackers. They're no longer piggybackers. Now they're hijackers.
Right. But how is that different in the other situation where I am selling on a Pins On listing already there because I found them at Walmart, right? How is the difference? Because if I own the listing myself and someone else hijacks it, if they're manufacturing the product the same way under the same trademark, that's where it's illegal. But if they bought it from Walmart, it's not. Like what's the difference?
That is a huge difference. So if they go to Walmart and they buy 50 sets of your sheets and they jump on your listing, okay, and they hijack your listing, okay, unless we add something to the product, like a warranty or an add-on or something that somebody else cannot deliver, like a recall, okay, then they're not violating because they're under the first sale doctrine. They're buying and selling genuine products and they are delivering to the consumer the same exact thing that you would deliver. Now, what you can do if you have that problem, okay, if Walmart has too many of your products and people are buying it, jumping on your listing and then undervaluing the product, you can add something to your private label that other sellers cannot deliver. In electronics or in high-end devices, it's usually like a repair warranty. It could be a recall notice. Like let's say, for example, the fire-resistant status of the sheets, okay, could be the subject of a government recall. And it's only if you buy from Seth that you will be noticed of that recall. And that's a significant difference. Right. So if people are getting genuine products, you know, outside your planned distribution area, you need to add something else to that product that hijacker, because now he's not a piggybacker, now he's a hijacker on Seth's listing that he cannot deliver. And then you use that tool to take it outside of the first sale doctrine and then knock them off your listing. Although I want to just say something out there, okay? When you have hijackers, I am a huge proponent of handling things with a lot of courtesy and being kind to people and paying it forward. I never, ever, ever make a complaint against a seller who's hijacking a listing without first giving them the opportunity to get themselves off. There's no reason to hurt people.
I totally agree with you because think about it. How many of us didn't start? We didn't know. We started, oh, I'll sell this. And Amazon has the big button there and I can create my listing. It feels like it's legal and I'm making money and I'm really trying. So I love that point. And everyone, I want you to hear what CJ said. This has helped so much. What I'm hearing, CJ, is the difference is differentiation. In other words, if I am selling my own cell phone case, I need to do something that makes it stand out, like a warranty or something unique, or add something to it that no one else can do, which therefore causes anyone who lists on this listing is now a hijacker and not a piggybacker because they truly can't deliver the warranty because they didn't manufacture this.
There's a lot of different things. Like for you in particular, there's also a whole lifestyle, right? And information from Just One Dime, or maybe going to add something else to it that someone else can't deliver, like the ability to read your written material on your website. Right? No one else can grant a license to read copyright information.
Yeah.
right? So you might want to stick in some type of lifestyle information because your sheets provide not just a place to sleep, but it's a whole lifestyle concept. And there was a guy I met in Hong Kong who did this very, very successfully. He was a young guy whose father, I think, took off, and him and his brother and his mom created like a lifestyle brand, and it was very effective at preventing other people from hijacking his listing.
So I want to use an example to really break this down for people, CJ. And again, thank you so much for being here. By the way, guys, CJ is going to be speaking at Ecom 2019. That's in Los Angeles. That's March 8 to 10. This is where we're bringing hand-picked e-commerce experts from around the world for 500 plus warriors who all get together. And we have one focus, and it's to show you how to build an e-commerce business. And CJ will be there. You can talk to him. You can ask him questions. CJ is one of the most personable speakers we've ever had. Like, he's not just like this guy who gets up and speaks awesome, but he's also super personable and approachable, which I really appreciate about you a lot.
Thank
CJ.
you. The compliments coming from you are tremendous and mean a lot. And I got to tell you, not only did I teach Amazon sellers, my part of the river, but the warriors totally inspire me. I mean, I left the last Just One Dime Summit just totally inspired. I mean, the hugs at the end and the camaraderie and the teamwork, I love it. I love your events.
Thank you. The people are amazing. Like, these people are on fire. They're not just entrepreneurs dabbling. They're like, I'm dead serious. I'm making this happen. I don't care if I have to walk through hell to get there, which is what I love about it. So guys, if you haven't yet, click the link below. Make sure you join Ecom 2019. It's in Los Angeles. We have some surprises for you that we've never done before. We have a VIP dinner party on a cruise ship in the Pacific. We have some really, really cool stuff. I can't wait. What I want to do, CJ, is use an illustration to help people break this down. So let's just pretend my product is toothpicks. And I launched toothpicks, and the toothpicks, there's nothing unique about them. They're not even branded. And someone else decides they find my product on Alibaba, and so they start selling theirs, but on my listing. Is that considered legitimate piggybacking?
That is entirely legitimate piggybacking, whether you are the first one to create those toothpicks or you're the person jumping on the listing. That's entirely legitimate. They're the same thing. It's a generic product, and we see this a lot with safety glasses for some reason, where the same plastic safety glasses are sold. Yeah. If it's a generic product and there's nothing to differentiate it, then other people can jump on, no big deal. But if you are the world's greatest toothpick salesperson, okay, then we also, even with toothpicks, there are ways to make your toothpick special to you. You just have to really think about it and explore it. And by dealing with thousands and thousands of products, we're pretty adept at doing that. And we're happy to do that analysis for your warriors to say, okay, how do we make your toothpicks, okay, better or different so that nobody else can jump on your listing if you're the one that created it?
And let's say the way I made them different is the material was harvested from planet Mars. And so no one obviously can do this. And yet someone else hops onto the listing. They're hijacking it. What is the best first step to do after I politely said, please remove your listing? They won't. I've done everything. I sent a cease and desist letter. Now what is the next step?
Well, first, I also want you to promote that there's no child labor of Martians being used.
This is important.
You want to see is the product itself actually the same? Are they actually sourcing their toothpicks from Mars, right? Mm-hmm. And if they're not, then it's a piece of cake. It's a slam dunk. If they are sourcing from Mars and it's exactly the same, then we're going to have to build something in, like the lifestyle, an add-on, copyright material, access to a website, recall notices. We have a whole laundry list of things that you can differentiate from. Like, it should your batch of toothpicks somehow have Martian splinters coming out of it, okay, you will repair those toothpicks in a specific way where somebody else can only replace it or do a refund. So it has to be something that only you can do to make it different. But in most products, and toothpicks would be really challenging,
yes,
you can add something to the products that the consumer is receiving something different from the hijacker than they would from you.
And so is the best way to do that is to order it myself and then contact Seller Performance, I think -performance, Amazon.com, and send them the picture? Or would you recommend doing a copy infringement report? What is the best course of action? Once I do have the proof, I've taken pictures, now what?
Well, it really depends. Sometimes you'll know right away it's not your product. Like if you're manufacturing in North Carolina, but it's a seller who's saying a 4 to 6 week shipping date, meaning it's coming from China, you don't need to do a test buy because you could differentiate it right away. If you can't clearly differentiate the products, then you do need to do a test buy so that when you write that letter to that seller asking him or her to get off your listing, or you have to make that complaint, you have really solid grounds, okay? I don't like anybody making baseless complaints. I want you to be solid. I don't want you to be seen as engaging in anti-competitive behavior. So if it's clear that there's a difference, then go right ahead. If it's not clear, then do a test buy.
I see. This is really key because I'm going to share something really crazy. And some of you guys may have run into this before. So you have a product, it sells faster than you expected, especially in December. You run out of inventory. Now, the best thing to do is you close your listing so that when you send the inventory back, your BSR will go back down to that great number and you have the same sales rank. Otherwise, you have to spend a lot of time and money trying to re-rank it. Well, what some people will do is they'll hop onto the listing pretending they're selling the same thing, and they'll put the shipping 4 weeks out because they're shipping at FBM. It's very smart. So now, if the listing itself has nothing provable that it's differentiated, and the only proof I can do is I got to buy the product, have it shipped to my house or my warehouse, take a picture. Now for 4 weeks, I'm waiting, and the BSR, I mean, obviously it goes up immediately, but it's getting worse. So by the time I put the inventory back in, it's too late. Even once I do prove it, I've already lost a lot of my ranking, and now it takes a lot of money and PPC to get a ranking again. So my guess, and tell me if this is right, CJ, in this situation, the best thing to do is to differentiate what the listing says, the non-tangible part of it. That's what causes it to be unique and differentiated. And I don't have to have a picture of the product to prove it's different. Am I right?
You're 100% right. It's 100% way of protecting yourself. You know, Amazon is not 100% in what's going to work, but that really sets the stage so that if you do have a problem, if the listing stays live while you're out of inventory and somebody else has a 4 to 6 week shipping date and they're selling a subpar product, at least you then have the materials later on to get it back or to knock them off the listing. Again, Amazon has maintained a consumer-centric atmosphere. Okay, that's their whole theory on doing business. And for the most part, they stick to it. You know, they're becoming brand-centric, which does kind of screw the consumer a little bit because prices go up. But still, their underlying company theories protect the consumer. So you want to lay that groundwork so that you can join and ride that train in the direction that it's going to protect the consumer. So what you described is an awesome plan to do as you create listings.
Yeah. Well, what you said about Amazon becoming brand-centric, for me as a seller, I love that because it's all about the brand for us. Raising the brand, building it up, selling it, starting another one, and teaching people how to do the same. So for those of you guys who are sellers out there, this is great news, but it requires long-term thinking. It requires, you're not just selling stuff. You're actually, imagine you were here in Austin or in New York with CJ, and you're like, I'm going to open a new business. You might spend $50,000 to $100,000 just to get it open. It might be 2 years before you're even profitable. To be able to sell on Amazon and be profitable within 3, 4, 6, even 8 months is phenomenal. It's like unheard of. And I think for people who've never run a business before, they need to see that so they realize the opportunity in front of them. But you've got to build a brand. You got to differentiate.
By developing a brand with the intention of flipping it later is a fantastic exit strategy. Okay. There are certain things you want to do as you develop the brand. You want to own the intellectual property rights. You want to file for that mark. You want to file for your copyright. I have a whole list of things you want to do so you can develop your brand to flip it later. And I think that is great. This is like such a unique opportunity that's never existed before, that you can start your own private label brand, very, very low money down, and build it up. And venture capitalists are in the market now for Amazon accounts, and venture capitalists are paying huge factors when the accounts have intellectual property associated with it. That makes it goes from a 2 to 2.5 factor to like a 5 to 10 times net profit factor. So for the warriors out there, you got to build this up.
Yeah. In one of my favorite concepts, CJ, I love this, and I constantly challenge myself with this every day because we sell both products and services. Always build your business in a way that you could become Rumpelstiltskin, or is it Rip Van Winkle? Which guy fell asleep for 20 years? I can't even remember.
I don't know.
One of the guys. But anyway,
in college, I didn't read all those books, man.
You felt it wasn't the lawyer.
You know what? You know what's totally messed up? That those are children books. I'm talking about what I didn't read in college.
That's really good, man. I avoided that, but you said it. But guys, imagine you fell asleep for a year and you woke back up again. If your business was built in such a way that it could keep going, that's phenomenal. That's hard to do. That's a challenge. But you want to set it up so it's as automated and running for you as possible. which means it's sellable. If it's not automated, it's not sellable. And then something CJ said, if you don't have a brand people love, then why can't someone else start selling the same kind of phone cases? An example of this I love is there are warriors on our team. When you go to like Keyword Tool Dominator and you type in a product like phone case, their brand name comes up, which means people are searching. It's in the autocomplete in Amazon. People are searching for the brand. That means there's brand trust, which means they can raise the price, which also helps with competition. But there's a loyalty and a trust with the brand just because it's this name, like Nike or Whirlpool or whoever it is, or Colgate, which I find is phenomenal.
And
So,
even if you don't plan on flipping your business, it's
Yeah.
a good way of building your business to keep that structure in place. It gives you it puts some structure upon you to build a business. It focuses on building assets. I also believe in trying to become platform agnostic, where you can take your brand and sell it anywhere, even though Amazon is the elephant in the room, and you actually own something. Okay, so you want to build long-term, either for yourself, for the opportunity to flip it later. It's like a golden parachute was the saying in the 80s, right? Or even for potential, investors down the road. They want to be able to see, okay, what is it that you own? What rights do you have that I want to invest in to put more fuel on the fire to make the whole business just explode?
Yeah, that's phenomenal. And I'm so glad you brought up that point, because there are some people who are thinking, well, Seth, CJ, I don't want to sell my business. Like, I love it. I'm married to it. And that's fine. But listen to what CJ said. Still set it up so it's automated. There's brand loyalty. It'll give you margin. So you can do things like snorkeling and scuba diving with sharks on drugs, like CJ does. Or zip lining. We're going to go on the longest zip line in the world in Wales when we go back to Europe, to London, which I'm super excited about. And we're going to try to do a video while we're on the zip line training, where we're flying through the air. It's going to be awesome.
I got to tell you, one of the things I loved about the Just One Dime Warriors is the enjoyment factor, okay? That working hard, playing hard, enjoying your work, freeing up your time and giving you the financial ability to do what you love, whether it's zip lining or I'm starting to scuba, and I certainly hope those sharks are drugged out. Learning how to do this is freedom. It's the freedom to choose to work like an insane workaholic, or time to take off, or do both. It's freedom. It's 100% freedom is what you're building.
And then the work isn't even like work anymore. You're free to work when you want to work, and you're free to travel when you want to travel. And those of you guys who are watching this and you're thinking, like, man, I'm kind of on the fence. Should I not? Let me just say something. If you overthink it, you will think yourself out of freedom. But yes, you need to have calculated logic and plan, but you also need to act, because the best way, is it easier to turn a car when it's still or when it's moving? So much easier when it's moving. So you have to get moving. Then you can change lanes and adjust and figure out along the way. And actually, that's part of the fun. It really is. I mean, I have so many jokes about hijackers, it's not even funny now. I would be less interesting of a person if I'd never had to deal with hijackers in my life.
Yes, and you got to keep your sense of humor about it. And also, I also stress not to worry about perfection. Perfection is the enemy of getting something done, okay? Jump in with 2 feet. Everyone makes mistakes. We're all human, okay? But this is the opportunity, in my opinion, the greatest opportunity in the history of commerce, because the doors are open to everybody. You don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars to open your own retail store, your own warehouse, okay? You can find products, develop brands. I will help you develop your trademark for free, okay? The government charges $225, and you can have your own trademark, okay? Get in now. It's a huge opportunity, and to me, it's all about freedom and loving every day.
Let's do this, DJ. Let's close with this. And I think this is, if I was to pluck one massive piece of gold or pearl from this conversation, there's been many, but this is my favorite. If you differentiate your product in a way that is non-tangible, tangible is good too. And by tangible, I mean you might have a bundle. It might be a different color, different material from planet Mars or a star far off, anything like that. But now we're talking about dealing with hijackers. If you differentiate it in a non-tangible way, it's something to do with the description, the principles. It's so much easier. You don't have to buy and take pictures to get them off. You can immediately tell Amazon, hey, here's what's going on. Could you give us just 3 from your list? What are 3 you would say, Seth, Just One Dime Warriors? Here are 3 you can use right away.
What I want to tell sellers about is the top 3 things in my mind of non-tangible aspects you can add to your brand that will protect it from hijackers, or should protect it from hijackers.
Yeah.
One, we talk a lot about business principles, okay? Like sourcing from Mars without using any child Martian labor, okay? Eco-friendly principles within the company that other sellers do not provide because they are using child labor, or they're not making sure that the products are eco-friendly. So build your principles into your product, and I think that's huge. The second non-tangible thing I would tell you is build your lifestyle into the product. I used the example earlier of a guy, an entrepreneur whose dad booked on the family, and it's him, his brother, and his mom, and they built the whole lifestyle. They include the family trips. They even include the family battles in newsletters that go along with their products. And I thought that was genius. I mean, just mind-blowing genius. It develops loyalty, and nobody else can deliver what's going on in his family, with their products.
Yeah.
A third way, and I think this is morally important, I believe in paying it forward, is we had a seller who part of the sale price, he would donate to a charity. Okay, he had purchased the business from a guy whose son had Down syndrome, and part of the purchase price included a promise that 5% of the sales would get donated to the charity, and nobody else can do that because he was matching it, okay? So I think those are three non-tangible things that any warrior can add to their brand, to their product, that would differentiate it, which would hopefully then bypass the need to do a test buy and give you the tools to get rid of hijackers, and also to do good, to build your brand, enforce your principles, and also to donate to charities, which I think is vital. I mean, we need to pay it forward. I think it's good business. I just think it's morally the right thing to do.
Yeah, I love it. Guys, remember those three things. This is huge. 3 ways you can differentiate your product so that if you get a hijacker, your chances of getting it removed is much higher without having to buy the product, have it shipped to your house, take pictures, send it in. You just go straight to Amazon. And if you still run into problems, go straight to CJ. And I want to share this website with you guys. It's also going to be below, AmazonSellersLawyer.com. If you're running into problems, if your account is suspended, if you have issues with, maybe you created a second account and Amazon caught you, what do I do? It's not the end of the world, you guys. A lot of people, they get frustrated and think, oh no, it's over. No, it's not. Why? Because CJ walks this planet. So you need to click that link below. Also, justwithadime.com/ecom. If you want to meet me and CJ in Los Angeles, we'll give you a big hug. We'll talk to you. There's going to be a ton of people there, people from all over the world training. Just imagine, guys, sitting in a room with people on fire to help each other succeed. And 2 of Amazon's leaders are going to be there speaking, which is awesome. If I can just toot my horn for a minute, there have been much larger companies.
Let me toot your horn. The fact that Just One Dime, that Seth has somebody coming from Amazon, is huge, groundbreaking. This hasn't happened in probably close to a decade, where Amazon used to own an event that was run out of Seattle and Philadelphia. Then they sold it. Well, they sold it and then bailed and really destroyed that business. So Seth has a huge, huge get that someone from Amazon, or 2 people from Amazon, are coming to speak with sellers. I mean, I don't know any event that has this. And if I could, while I totally appreciate your telling your warriors to visit our website, can I talk about the charity that we support? I'll be real quick.
These are absolutely, man.
Okay. What we do, the charity that we support is called the Ty Lewis Campbell Foundation, TY, Ty Lewis Campbell Foundation. Great friend of mine named Lou Campbell and his incredible wife, Cindy. They lost their son, Ty, to brain cancer. And they turned this awful tragedy into triumph by creating this foundation. So 2 things. One, if you're shopping on Amazon, use the Amazon Smile program and pick the Ty Lewis Campbell Foundation. Amazon will then donate money to foundation. And if you don't have a charity of your own, please check it out. Ty Lewis Campbell Foundation, TY, Ty Lewis Campbell Foundation. All they do is raise money to find better treatments and God willing, a cure for pediatric cancers. Yeah. So Seth, thanks for having me on. Thank you very much for letting me discuss the charity. It hits home. Ty was a great little boy, and the foundation is absolutely phenomenal.
And all those of you guys who have children, you can relate to this. Imagine you have your own child, you lose them to cancer. Cancer is freaking evil, and it takes the lives of so many people. So I love, brother, how you've taken your heart and your business and your lifestyle and helping people, and it's all integrated. And guys, that's life. That's what it means, in my opinion, to be an entrepreneur who is full of life and joy and is able to do what they love with the people that they love. So guys, get out there and make it happen. I hope this adds tons of value, and I will see you in Los Angeles. Thanks again, CJ.